us is because LSU baseball suffered their first defeat of the season. Not loss, series loss. They've lost some games. The series.
10 of them.
They've lost 10 of them. First series they've lost all year. Happened this weekend on the road to Auburn, who had just gone on the road and beaten South Carolina. They're a hot team. They're a team that I think that if you look at the roster and you look at the lineups, they don't compare to LSU talent-wise, but it doesn't matter. You still got to go out there and play the game, and you got to win. LSU did not do that. Obviously, on Friday, Paul Skeens did what Paul Skeens does. Struck out 15. We've talked about it through the course of the year that he hasn't had one of those games yet. Well, now he does. He went 7 1/3, struck out 15, no runs, 1 walk, 6 hits. Great game. Saturday happens. Ty Floyd comes out there. And doing exactly the same thing.
He's doing his best Paul Skeens.
Literally looked like he was going to do the exact same thing. He had gone through 3 innings, had struck out 7 in 3 innings.
7 in a row.
7 in a row. Had 41 pitches after 3. Then he goes to the 4th. You have that little debacle that happens between who got ejected, who didn't get ejected. He's kind of struggling a little bit to find the zone. All of a sudden, he kind of gets in another little bit of a rhythm, strikes a guy out, makes that 8 strikeouts, and then he starts walking everybody. I think he walked 4 guys that inning. There's a big delay, about a 15-minute delay between coaches arguing with the umpires. Ty Floyd admittedly said that affected him. It shouldn't have affected him, as what he said, which he's right. But it did affect him. Couldn't kind of figure it out. Took him out the game. They end up salvaging the inning, only giving up 3 runs. End up losing that game on Saturday. And then on Sunday, Christian Little doesn't record an out. Walks a ton of people. Griffin Herring comes in, does the exact same thing. And then Gavin Guidry comes in and kind of rights the ship, gets out the inning down 6-1 after Gavin Guidry let off the game with a home run.
Gavin Dugas.
That's what I said.
You said Guidry.
You said Guidry.
Oh, Gavin Dugas. A lot of Gavins. Yes. Gavin Dugas. That'd be great if Gavin Guidry hit the homer.
Hey, he's got the potential to
Gavin
leave.
Dugas let the game off with a homer. You felt like, okay, this is a good way to go. And then the bottom of the first happens. You give up 6 runs, and they never really righted the ship through the rest of the game. And they end up getting 10-run rule for the first time all year. Is it the first time?
Yes.
First time all year. They end up losing by 10 and lose the series. Again, I'm not worried. There's some concerns, of course, but there's always going to be concerns at this point in the season. Jay, what did you see from the weekend? Because before we really start comparing and getting into this, I want you to give me your thoughts.
I saw a really fluky weekend, right? Like, you lose the series is over. They lost their first win of the year. But if you look inside of it, I think everyone's literally 2 feet on a panic button now because they've been literally touching it, trying to talk about the bullpen and the pitching staff for the last few weeks. And somewhere lost in all of that sauce, like all of that pitching sauce and talk about pitching, is we forget that on Saturday they lost by 2 runs when they left 14 runners on. 3 times they left the bases full and didn't get a run out of that. So the reason why I'm saying that is because let's just say they come through in those situations. You're looking at a series win, and you're still saying pretty much the same thing you've been saying. So I think everybody's 2 feet on, literally vertical jump on the panic button right now, talking about the pitching staff. But you're forgetting, even with the fall apart and everything that happened on Saturday, you're forgetting 14 runners. Something you really hadn't seen this offense do the entire season. Right. And I'm not surprised that it's happened at some point in the year because it's baseball and that kind of stuff happens. It is what it is. But it happened on Saturday. The fall apart comes on Sunday, and that's how the recipe is written up, or I guess, written up for a series loss. I think they will be able to right the ship and go forward. If you're sitting here saying, if I'm a betting man and I'm sitting here saying that I'm betting on the guys they run out there on Saturday, Sunday that can't record outs, I don't think they would be here at LSU, right? So I would not keep betting on that. I would think the sample size has been pretty large. There's only, 2 weeks left in the regular season, right? I think you're going to get a lot more of what you've been seeing than what you have seen. I think you're going to continue to see these young kids that are in the back end of the bullpen and that are being put into the rotation and stuff to, once again, keep progressing and keep coming, right? The whole song lately has been, they don't have bullpen. They don't have pitching. All they have is Paul Skeens. And to me, I think that's the craziest goofiest saying ever. Because if I take Joe Burrow off the 2019 LSU Tigers, they're probably not as good. If I take Michael Jordan out of the middle of all the Bulls runs, they're probably not going to do what they did. And I probably not go three-peat twice, right? So he's a part of the team. So we can't sit here and say without him because he's on it, right? I don't want to see what their bullpen and their pitching staff ERA is without him because he is here. That's just ridiculous to me. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You have to face him. So you can't say without him, you got to face him. So to me, you saw a fluky weekend. It finally happened. The two in a row happened. Now I do think here is going on forward, you're going to get a chance to see a team that finally got punched in the face, a team that finally fell down, and you're going to get a good look at who they actually are.
Yep. And I want to say before we're getting into all this, but you said that, hey, I think it was a fluky weekend. You're going to see them. You're going to see some adjustments.
Yeah.
Jay's going to make some adjustments. I don't think there's going to be many adjustments happen in the lineup. I think the lineup is like what he wants. He's going to keep inserting and putting some guys in certain situations. I think you're going to see an adjustment in the pitching staff as far as maybe when somebody's starting, when they're not starting, maybe making a change. Maybe someone else is getting a Sunday start. Maybe Javen Coleman gets put into that Sunday role a little earlier than we thought he was going to get. Maybe he has another guy that says, you know what, Blake Money, you've been throwing pretty decent. Yeah. We're going to give you the opportunity to start Sunday.
I'm glad you're saying that, too, because the thought process is, I think you know, like I know, like we just looked it up, and we saw that Christian Little threw 28 pitches on Sunday. 28 pitches in the first inning. I don't care how many runs or how many strikes you didn't throw. That, to me, is the sign of a coach saying, I'm tired of watching this shit. And so I think when coaches get there, it's when you start seeing a change.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised because 28 pitches is a lot, but it's not the spot to say he needs to get out before he hurts himself or he needs to get out because we don't have a chance. I think it's literally, I'm not going to watch this anymore, so I have to make a move right now. And with that move being made, I do think that opens the door to someone else being the Sunday starter next week, and we'll see how that goes.
And we'll see.
And I'm not saying that Christian Little's done for the year.
Right.
I think it's, you're going to have to show me that you can do this in a different role.
And look, it's Ask Mikey and Mitch, so I'm sure you'll have a ton of questions. Actually, I know you'll have a ton of questions. I've seen some of the questions. And we're going to get to all the questions when we get to that point in this show. But, right now, I want to talk about what I've seen, right? We talked about changing the rotation. People are going to talk about Thatcher Hurd. Man, he's looked great the last two outings. His last three outings. He started that midweek game and then the last two times out of the bullpen. Maybe he moves back in the Sunday role. I don't think so right now. I think you keep him in that closer role for right now, and you allow him to continue to stack good performance after good performance after good performance and allow him to just continue to gain that confidence. And if you really feel like you need to put him back in the rotation come postseason, that's when you do it, right? You allow him to continue to build on this, and you allow somebody else to try to take that role of weekend starter and say, you know what, we need you to go out there and you need to throw strikes. If Christian Little's only going to give you 4 innings or 3 1/3 innings consistently, Javen Coleman can do that. You have other guys that can get you 4 innings. That's what you have to do. Again, the wild card on this whole thing is Ty Floyd, right? Ty Floyd showed you how good he was on Saturday and where it can go south same time within a snap of the fingers, right? And now I think he's as it is right now, I think he's our second best starter. I think he is going to be in that rotation, somewhere in the rotation. That's not a question. Jay has a lot of confidence in him. I have a lot of confidence in him. I would like to see him be able to be a little bit more consistent, and when things start to go south, fix it not instantly, but pretty quickly on the mound, like in the moment, not wait till you have to get out to fix it the next game.
I can tell you what, too. When I watch Ty Floyd pitch, too, like this is, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or if you see the same things or not, and this has not been I'm saying it because I just saw this game. I think it's something I've kind of seen the whole year, and I think it kind of got highlighted as things went south a little bit this past game. But when I watch him pitch, his demeanor on the mound to me feels like I'm watching someone throw a side or throw a bullpen. So, and I'm not saying I need you to be animated, but it almost seems like it's like a just throw ball, get ball back, do it again. Throw ball, get ball back, do it again. And it's almost like if it feels like if you could get him to feel a little more invested into not even pitch to pitch, just into the intent of what he's doing, I feel like it'd be a lot easier to not maybe lose it so easily and then all of a sudden that just derails a very good start or even a decent start. You know what I mean?
Right. And look, traditionally, historically, LSU has been in some very big seasons. They've won 6 national championships. We have won 6 national championships. We have been to Omaha a bunch of times. We have done everything that you can do in the baseball world, right? And they're going to continue to do that. I want to compare something, and because people are saying this is the end of the world. This is, they're not as good as they are. They're not as good as they were at the beginning of the season. I will say this, they're not. You know why they're not? Because you've lost 4 upper 90
frontline arms.
Yeah, frontline arms. So of course, yeah, compared to the roster at the beginning of the season, what you thought you were going to have compared to now, you're not as good as, but you're still number 1 team in the country good. You're still national championship good. So don't take, we don't have those guys, so we're not as good. We're not going to win it. That's not true. Nobody's as talented as LSU, top to bottom, in the